the thousands of years of recorded history, countless nations have risen, and many have fallen. Kings, pharaohs, emperors, and even tyrants have ruled over these nations. And the people suffered. Of all these nations to have come and gone, how many citizens have had religious freedom? Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the right of its citizens to bear arms. Can you think of any? The United States of America is the first of its kind. It's the only country where the conquering general gave the power back to the people. And the people created a republic. Where its government representatives were elected by the people and replaced by the people. Unlike countries ruled by dictators, kings, despots, and imperial leaders. What is a republic?
Comes from the Latin term res publica, rule of the people.
System of government where the rights of minorities are protected with the majority.
Republic is where you elect your leaders. Essentially, we feel as a federal constitutional republic that it's our job to pick people who can make the decisions professionally. A democracy is rule of the people, so it's sort of like direct elections to make decisions. The masses make decisions for themselves.
You may have heard of this George W. and another George W. who can't pronounce nuclear. But I'll bet you haven't heard of this George W. George Wythe, that is. He is one of the most influential of the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson was taught and counseled by George Wythe from the time he was 16 and had this to say of him. He was my second father, my faithful and beloved mentor. Jefferson's father died when he was only 14, so in a very real way, George Wythe was a father to him. Jefferson also said of Wythe, no man ever left behind him a character more venerated. His virtue was of the purest tint, his integrity inflexible, and his justice exact. Jefferson referred to Wythe as my earliest and best friend. To him I am indebted for first impressions, which have had the most salutary influence on the course of my life. You probably have heard of Thomas Jefferson. But it is likely you know little if anything of this key founding father from Virginia, who made such a profound impression on Thomas Jefferson and the establishment of our nation. Many founding fathers have monuments, statues. George Wythe? Not so much. From the looks of it, you wouldn't know something significant happened here. In the late 1960s, while bulldozing for a new test track for the shuttle, the rocks that formed a foundation of an 18th century house were revealed. This was the childhood home of founding father George Wythe. George was born June 8, 1726. George signed the Declaration of Independence, helped shape the Constitution, and would mentor and teach many of the most influential men in America's founding. The Founding Fathers are the men who signed the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. The term Founding Fathers can also be extended to those who fought for our country's independence by participating in the Revolutionary War. Before the colonists united to declare independence from England, the United States of America was known as British America. But what led them to secede from England, or rather, what led them to make a Declaration of Independence? Why would they risk everything, including their lives, in an effort to establish their own country? Was it for power? Was it for money? Or was it for liberty and freedom? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. This statement in the Declaration of Independence is the key to understanding the opposition to the ruling class. Citizens should not be oppressed and controlled by a ruling class because it is against self-evident law that all citizens have the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. That law came from a higher power than a king or president. The colonists believed in this enough to fight a war for independence against one of the greatest military powers the world has ever known. After declaring independence and eventually winning a revolutionary war, the colonies needed to protect what they fought for. Their desire was to establish the law of the land based on the consent of the governed, as outlined by the Declaration of Independence. George Wythe, through his lifetime of observing tyranny, studying and practicing law, played the key role in creating a new rule of law. The first words of the Constitution sum up the vision and wisdom of George Wythe. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. May we pay the respect due George Wythe by honoring and protecting the Constitution of the United States of America. May its principles fulfill his vision of freedom forever, for everyone.
Strong wind of democracy. I see a vision of the promised land, a place where everybody has a chance to build a home we are proud to know, and give respect to those who made it so. We start to keep the dream alive, for you and I to realize American dream. Speak our minds and fight to keep our dream alive. The proud and the free is who we are. We'll stand together, we've come this far. From coast to coast into the mountains high, the beauty of our sovereign nation shines. From the hearts of every countryman into the year